Welcome to CEO Insights. I'm Marilyn de Guzman with investingnews.com. I'm speaking with Matthew Badiali, CEO of Quetzal Copper. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome all the time. So you've announced a maiden drill program at the Princeton Copper Project. Could you provide some more information about the program and what are your expectations and targets?
Yeah, absolutely. So Princeton has been around for a long time. It was, our ground starts at the Copper Mountain mine and goes north. And it was a series of small claims that were put together by a private group. They would wait till one would come open and they would grab it. And they've done a lot of really good superficial geology on it. So they've done a lot of mapping and sampling and geophysics, but they really had never drilled it. We took all of their data and processed it. We turned up 4 targets that we really liked. And in January, we mobilized a drill program on there to test the targets. And that's really what we do at Quetzal. Our goal here is to take projects that have a lot of previous history, several $1 million spent on the work in the past, and leverage that to see if we can make a discovery. There are a lot, because of the bear market in metals since 2014 or 2016. I mean, it's been really, especially with base metals like copper, it's been really hard. And so there are a lot of projects that just kind of got lost. And Quetzal was created to find those projects, find targets that have kind of been overlooked, and then go out and drill them and make a discovery. That's our goal. So that's what we're doing at Princeton right now.
Can you talk a bit more about the area where the projects located in BC? So Princeton, Merritt area, in terms of geology and sort of who are the companies that are operating there?
Yeah, to me, that area is a very overlooked part of British Columbia. So it's about 3 hours east of Vancouver. So it's right above the U.S.-Canadian border. It's kind of bracketed by Hudbay and Mitsubishi partnership in the Copper Mountain mine to the south. And then to the north, you have Teck Resources. They have a mine, but there are a few older ones in there. The Craigmont mine was in there. So this is a part of the province that has a really good gold endowment. It has a really good infrastructure for mining. The rocks, there's a big regional fault in there that provided kind of plumbing for the hot metal rich fluids that came up in there. Kodiak is in there now. They've had a pretty good discovery. They have core at the core shack. So this is an area that doesn't get as much attention as like the Golden Triangle in northern BC, but it has all the things that I'm looking for. It has the potential for high-grade copper, it has the potential for scale. We know that mines have been built here in the past, and we have active mines going on right now. So from a risk-reward perspective as an investor, I'm not breaking any new ground. This isn't greenfields exploration. This is an area where we know that there's metal. It's the best place to find a new mine is in the shadow of a head frame. That's what this province brings, or that's what that part of the province brings. We were really, the first thing we were looking for is a way to reduce risk to investors. Because if you think about where exploration is on the scale of mining risk, we're at the high risk part of the scale. We have no revenue. We're testing things. So if you're a biotech investor, we're at the phase 1 trial stage, right? The likelihood of failure is really high, but when you are successful, the rewards are very high as well. And so what our team tries to do is we bring all the modern technology to this. I mean, when a lot of these projects were first looked at, we had just put people on the moon. Now we have way more computing power in our pockets with our cell phones than they ever had. So we're able to take large data sets and refine them. And then we can really cherry pick the best projects. And we had 4 projects to start with Quetzal. We had Cristinas in Mexico, Princeton, Dot, and Big Kid in British Columbia. These are projects that were available, really high quality targets, and they needed work that we could do. So they offered us a chance to drill or kind of that near term drill program for not a lot of money at all invested. And so that was how we really started Quetzal, with this idea that we reduce risk for investors. We don't need a lot of capital to do the programs, and the questions that we would answer would, with one drill hole that says yes, it changes the entire future of the company. So that's what we try and do.
Right. And talking about sort of like the high level, the copper industry, the copper market, all indications are saying that the global copper demand will continue to increase.
Oh, yeah.
How are you positioning Quetzal Copper in this paradigm, and what's your strategy to leverage that?
Yeah, the keynote here at PDAC was by the CEO of BHP. And his theme was supplying the materials to build to 2050. The copper industry is woefully undersupplied. We have big old legacy mines. I did a little research on the industry a little while ago, and like most of the producing copper mines are over 60 years old. They're really long in the tooth. And they just keep lowering the grade and lowering the grade and lowering the grade, right? So it takes more material mined to produce the same amount of copper as it did last year. So the expenses go up, the profits go down. But when you think of a mining company, it's not like a t-shirt maker where you just buy the cotton and sew it up and sell the t-shirts. It's more like a sandwich shop. You have a loaf of bread, you can make so many sandwiches out of your loaf of bread, and then you need to get another loaf of bread. And so a good mining company, and I'm going to be all over the place with my analogies, but a good mining company looks like it looks like a busy airport. You have the planes at the gates that the passengers are getting on. You have the planes that have landed that are taxiing into the gates. And then you have the planes in the air getting ready to land. And so that's really what you need. Well, right now, the mining industry has planes at the gate and planes on the tarmac, but they don't have any planes in the air, or very few. It's certainly not enough for the demand that's coming. The numbers that I've seen in terms of estimates of how much copper investment has to happen. So how much money do major mining companies have to deploy to bring these mines into production? And it's on the order of $1 trillion. And that's going to happen really quickly. I mean, the 2030 numbers are really high, but the 2050 numbers are crazy. So one of the reasons that we got into the copper exploration side of things is because there was a really big boom in copper, kind of that 2009 to 2014 period. A lot of money went into the ground, and then there was no more money. So a lot of those companies went bankrupt. So some of the projects, for example, DOT is we'll probably be drilling DOT this summer. This is one that actually had a resource that was never filed. So they did all the work to figure out how much copper they had in the ground there. And they never filed it. They went bankrupt, the company that had it. And a prospector actually staked those claims when the claims lapsed because of non-payment. So there are projects out there available today, either in the hands of prospectors or in companies that have gone bankrupt, or some of these projects are sitting on companies' books, and they haven't had any attention paid to them in years, sometimes decades. So, that's our niche, to go out and find the projects that can then become the planes in the air for the big mining companies.
I love the analogy. So maybe this is a good time to provide some project updates. Like, what are some of the upcoming catalysts that interest?
Yeah. So like I said, we just drilled Princeton. We're waiting for the lab results now on our core. We're in the process of getting our drill permit for DOT, which is just up the road. It's DOT's just north of Merritt. It's kind of between Tex Mine and the town of Merritt, British Columbia. And then we have a project called Big Kid, which is south of Merritt. It's kind of between Princeton and Merritt, and it's just north of Kodiak's discovery. And these are all projects that have previous drill holes, lots of information, old data that we are able to take, aggregate. I have excellent geologists. Roy Grieg and Chris Lloyd are fantastic. And so those are the guys that kind of They vet the projects, they decide what we're going to do next. And so hopefully we'll drill both of those in 2025. And we're on the lookout for new projects. So one of the things I'm doing here at PDAC is I'm out talking to everybody. The prospectors, there's a lot of folks out there that have projects, and they're not getting a lot of attention. The market's just not there for those projects yet. So my goal is to get them now before they get really expensive.
Right. So leave it at that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. And thanks for sharing your thoughts today.
My pleasure.
And thanks everyone for watching. Join us again next time for another edition of CEO Insights.